You know, whenever we sit down to talk about Jamaican real estate, it doesn't matter if it's with friends or just, scrolling online, the conversation always starts with a feeling. It's almost romanticized, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's very sensory.
It is. You picture the physical thing. Maybe it's that modest board home, tucked into a hillside in Portland, or a busy commercial building and halfway tree just vibrating with energy.
Or that villa looking out over the Caribbean. You can almost smell the salt.
Exactly. It's all about the concrete, the zinc, the land itself. It feels so human. It's grounded in handshakes and trust and a history you can literally touch.
But the research we're looking at today suggests it's only the surface layer.
It's incomplete.
It's the skin.
Yeah.
The sources from Jamaica Homes show this quiet, really fundamental shift happening underneath all of that. The whole way the market understands property is changing. It's moving from just what you can see and touch to data.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We're digging into that shift. And I want to be really clear from the start. This is not some tech trend for the sake of it. We're not talking about shiny new gadget.
No, the sources are clear. This is driven by pure necessity.
Necessity is the word. I mean, you're on a small island developing state. Land is finite. You can't just make more of it.
And you have very, very real climate exposure. Not theoretical models, but what happens when the Atlantic heats up.
So yeah, our mission today is to explore how the market is moving from basically guessing about risk to actually measuring it using this thing called digital twin technology.
Which I know sounds incredibly futuristic.
It really does. Digital twin, it sounds like something from a sci-fi movie.
If only it was that simple. But for buildings, it's fast becoming the new reality.
So let's get right into it. Let's unpack that term, because when I hear digital real estate in Jamaica, my mind immediately goes to, Instagram. I'm thinking of those drone shots over a villa in Mobay, or the virtual walkthroughs that agents send on WhatsApp to someone in London. Is that what we're talking about? Is a digital twin just a really fancy 3D tour?
That is the most common misconception, and it's so important to clear that up because they are two completely different things.
Okay.
Those visual tools, the drone videos, the walkthroughs, they're amazing marketing tools. I mean, they're essential for the diaspora. But they only show you the skin of the building.
The aesthetic.
Exactly. They show you what a building looks like.
Yeah.
A digital twin shows you its physiology. It shows you how the building works.
Okay, I like that. Aesthetics versus physiology. So if the 3D tour is a poster of a beautiful race car, the digital twin is the live telemetry data from the engine.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah. Think of it like a living medical record for the structure. The research says this isn't some static model. It includes the structural elements you can't see.
Behind the paint.
Right. The materials in the foundation, the plumbing layouts, the roof type, its age, and this is crucial, the maintenance history.
That part about the hidden stuff really jumps out. Anyone who's ever bought an older house knows that fear of what's behind the drywall.
Oh, absolutely.
It looks beautiful, fresh paint, and then 3 months in, you find out the wiring is from 1970.
And that's a huge thing in Jamaica. We have this culture of informal alterations. So an as a room extends a veranda.
And the only record is, oh, Uncle Roy did that back in '98.
Exactly. Or it's on a receipt that's lost somewhere. The digital twin captures all of that. It tracks where water goes when it rains.
Yeah.
It's a living record of the building's life.
There was a quote in the source material from Dean Jones at Jamaica Homes that I highlighted. He said, "A building doesn't forget what you've done to it. Digital records protect the truth of a property long after memory fades."
It's almost poetic, isn't it? A building doesn't forget, but it's so practical. Human memory, it's fallible. You might honestly forget you patched the roof 5 years ago with a material that was only rated for 3.
Or if that crack in the wall was there before the last little tremor.
But the building remembers. It's holding that stress. The digital twin just lets us access that memory so we're not flying blind.
And speaking of stress on a building, we have to talk about the context mentioned in the research. The elephant in the room, Hurricane Melissa.
Right. This is not a theoretical discussion. The aftermath of Melissa is a huge catalyst here.
And I want to be sensitive because people are still recovering. The source makes a point that, right after a storm, nobody wants a lecture on software.
Absolutely not, no. When you're sweeping water out of your house or waiting on GPS, the last thing you want to hear about is data. Your priority is survival.
But the argument here is that once the dust settles, we fall into the same pattern. It's a cycle, isn't it?
It is. Every storm exposes the same vulnerabilities. Undocumented construction fails, structural weaknesses nobody knew about, until a 100-mile-per-hour wind shows up.
Right.
And this is where that shift from guessing to measuring is so critical. Typically, we stand outside a damaged house and we just ask why.
Why did my roof go, but the neighbor's is still there? That is the classic question.
Exactly. Or where did the water get in first? Was it the wind or were the nails rusted? Without data, the answers are just speculation. We patch it up and hope for the best next time.
So how does a digital twin stop that guessing game?
It gives you a baseline. If you have a record that says, okay, this part of the roof was done in 2018 with these fasteners, and this part was repaired in 2022 with a different material, you can pinpoint why it failed.
Ah, so it wasn't random. It was a specific structural decision from 3 years ago.
Exactly. It changes the rebuilding process completely. You move from, let's put it back how it was, to let's rebuild it smarter because we now know the weak point.
It turns a disaster into a learning event.
That is the very definition of resilience.
Okay, so I'm playing devil's advocate here. I can hear people listening and thinking, this sounds great for a huge hotel in Negril or some luxury high-rise in New Kingston, but does this actually matter for the everyday person, the guy with a 3-bedroom in Portmore?
That's the big question. Is it elitist tech? The research argues it matters more for the everyday owner. And it hits you in 3 places: insurance, financing, and resale.
Okay, let's break those down. Insurance first. Everyone knows premiums are going up.
It's hitting very hard in the Caribbean. Insurance companies are getting so cautious. They're looking at climate models, and they're terrified of the unknowns.
The unknowns being the actual condition of the building.
Correct. If your property is basically a black box, no records, no proof of when the wiring was done, no idea about the roof's integrity, the insurer has to assume the worst-case scenario.
So you're paying a mystery tax.
You're paying for their uncertainty, yes. But if you can show them a digital twin, a verifiable history of how it was built and maintained, you're removing the mystery. You're proving the asset's quality.
So transparency basically acts like a discount coupon.
Or at the very least, it helps you get coverage on decent terms. And the same logic goes for financing. Banks hate risk. A documented system just smooths that entire process.
It makes total sense. You're reducing the information asymmetry, as they say.
Exactly. Which brings us to resale, especially with the diaspora market.
A huge factor. So many buyers are in London or Toronto or New York.
And think about the anxiety in that transaction. You're relying on trust. Trusting the photos, trusting the agent, trusting your cousin who maybe doesn't know anything about plumbing.
Right, that trust gap.
Dean Jones had another great line about this. He said, trust in real estate is built fastest when you don't have to ask someone to take your word for it.
That's the key. Show, don't just tell.
If you're a buyer overseas and the seller sends you not just a video, but a data file confirming the roof was sealed on this date with this material, your confidence level just skyrockets. You know you aren't buying a money pit.
It matures the whole market. It stops all the haggling over what might be wrong.
It just speeds everything up.
I want to pivot a bit to the culture of maintenance. Because, let's be honest, the Jamaican reality is often, well, let's call it reactive.
Reactive is a very polite way to put it.
You know what I mean. We are masters of the quick fix. Something breaks, we fix it, sometimes with incredible ingenuity. But the source material says that fix it when it breaks approach is actually costing us a fortune.
It is so expensive. It feels cheap at the moment, but it's not. I mean, when do things usually break?
At the worst possible time, middle of the night, on a holiday.
Right before a storm, yeah. So you're paying a premium for emergency labor. You're rushing to buy material, so you take whatever the hardware store has in stock. And usually a total failure causes secondary damage.
Like a small leak you ignored that then brings down the whole ceiling.
Exactly. Now you're not just fixing a pipe, you're replacing drywall and treating mold. That little leak became a major project.
So how does a digital twin change that? It can't turn a wrench.
No, but it allows for preventive maintenance. It shifts you from a break-fix cycle to a predict-to-prevent one. If the data shows your roof type needs resealing every 10 years, and you're at year 9, the system flags it.
So you can plan for it, budget for it, fix it in the dry season.
You're treating the house like a living system, especially in, say, an apartment complex. One person's leak is everyone's problem. If you have the plumbing schematic, you aren't smashing holes in 3 different walls to find the source.
Ugh, I've seen that happen. It's a nightmare.
And in a country where skilled labor isn't always on call and material costs are going up, I mean, have you seen the price of cement lately?
It's skyrocketing.
So avoiding damage isn't a luxury, it's just sound economics. The source has a great line. Even the most heroic temporary fix eventually sends an invoice.
That is a painful truth. You can dodge the maintenance, but you can't dodge the cost.
And this all connects back to the bigger picture of climate. There's this broader point about climate risk being priced into the market.
What does that actually mean, priced in?
It means the market is already valuing properties based on their exposure, whether a seller says so or not. Coastal exposure, flood history, how hot a house gets in the summer, these things affect value.
So a house that turns into an oven in July should be worth less than one that stays cool, even if they look the same.
It should be. And with data, it will be. This is where the digital twin gets really futuristic. It lets you run simulations.
Simulations, like a video game for your house.
Sort of, yeah, physics-based. You can simulate heat response, water flow during heavy rain to see where it pools. You can stress test the structure against high winds in a virtual environment.
Hold on. You can basically run a Category 4 hurricane on your computer and see if your roof holds up.
In essence, yes. You see the weak points before the storm hits. Imagine selling a house and being able to prove, look, we ran the simulation, we upgraded the fasteners here, this house is rated for X amount of wind.
That's enormous value. That's peace of mind you can actually buy.
And the reverse is true. If you can't provide that insight,
You're just seen as high risk.
the quote from Jones is, the less we know about a building, the more expensive it becomes to own. That uncertainty is a hidden tax on the property.
This all sounds like so much change. And I can imagine some people worrying. What about the human element? Do we still need valuers and engineers if a computer can simulate the wind?
It's a valid fear, but the research is very clear on this. Technology amplifies expertise. It doesn't replace it.
So the robots are not taking over.
Not today. An engineer who understands this data is infinitely more powerful than one who doesn't. A surveyor can spend their time analyzing the data and giving strategic advice, not just measuring walls.
They become analysts instead of just data collectors.
Precisely. The quote that sums it all up is, technology doesn't make professionals obsolete, it makes guesswork obsolete.
I love that. We're getting rid of the guessing, not the people.
And we should be realistic. This won't happen overnight. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and every house has a digital twin.
Right. It's gradual shift.
The big developments will lead. The hotels, the new apartments, they have a capital. But the prediction is that within a decade, detailed digital records will just be the norm for any well-managed development.
It becomes the standard, like how central air used to be a luxury and now it's expected.
Exactly. So if you're selling a house 10 years from now with just a stack of old papers and a shrug, you might be in trouble.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. It really changes how you look at the buildings around us. We started with that romantic view, the feeling, the history, and it feels like we aren't losing that. If anything, we're preserving it better.
We are preserving the story. That's what this is. Every structure has a story. Scars from storms, upgrades when the family grew. Preserving that story accurately is a tool for resilience. It helps us rebuild smarter so the story can keep going.
It's moving from guessing to knowing. And in a climate that's getting more unpredictable, knowing seems like the most valuable asset you can possibly have.
Absolutely. The future of property is still physical, it's still personal, but to survive, it has to be documented.
So here's the thought we want to leave you with today. Something to think about. We talk a lot about homeownership, but if you don't truly know the history of the walls around you, the pipes, the repairs, the hidden scars, do you actually own the whole home? Or do you just own the surface of it?
That is the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.